the Culture Secretary Nadine Dorries for the government's take on the day's events. And indeed a prominent supporter of the Prime Minister. Nadine Dorries, good evening. Thanks for joining me.
Hello, Tom.
A YouGov poll tonight has found that 3 in 5 British voters, 59% to be precise, think the Prime Minister should resign, and that includes 27% of Tory voters too. You're obviously not one of them. I'm taking a stab in the dark at that. How do you think so many of them then have got this so badly wrong?
Well, look, it's a snap poll straight after the event, and there's only one poll that matters to me, and that's the one that always, and you get this answer all the time, which is at the ballot box. I'm not that. I'm always slightly suspicious of snap polls which take place after events, and I think over the next few days you'll probably see that change.
Okay. Let me talk to you about the report. Now, Sue Gray found the Prime Minister must bear responsibility for the drinking and law-breaking culture in Number 10 throughout those lockdowns. The Prime Minister agrees, said that as well, said he does take full responsibility. In practice, though, it means firing, it would appear to be everybody else around at the time, but him keeping his job. His Chief of Staff has gone, his Principal Private Secretary has gone, his Director of Communications has gone, his Deputy Director of Communications has gone, but he hasn't.
No, because he's our elected Prime Minister. But he did, the Prime Minister has apologised and he has accepted responsibility and he's accepted the findings of the Sue Gray report. And one of the recommendations was to make changes in Number 10, which he has done. And you've just named yourself some fairly big changes, which will go somewhere, including appointing a permanent secretary, which Sue Gray particularly mentioned, who's now in place in Number 10. And I believe that has gone a considerable way to changing what was a culture in Number 10.
OK, Nadine, you can help us with this one as well, because I think a lot of people will look at this quite honestly today and say all this is going on inside his house, his building, his home. 14 different lockdown breaching events, people being sick, people throwing red wine on the wall. How could he not have known?
Well, because for those events he wasn't there. And also I think it's important to point out that Number 10, although it has a very iconic front door and everyone believes that the Prime Minister is his house and he lives behind that front door, of course, as we know, it's not the case. It's an office which has 300, 400, 500 staff during COVID working in a warren of offices. The Prime Minister lives in a flat, I believe, which is above number 11. So the Prime Minister isn't his home, it is an office block. And I think that is probably a perception that people have, that he lives behind that front door. And as we know, he doesn't.
All right. Now, the Prime Minister did say today a lot of this stuff was new to him. He learned about it sometimes fresh this morning in this report, because you say it's a big building, he just didn't see it. He didn't say this, but I'm wondering whether you think he was let down by some of the most senior people in the government, in the civil service, who are working around him.
Well, I think it's important to say that, at some of those events, the Prime Minister wasn't in Number 10. In fact, I believe he was at Chequers when some of those events took place. But, as he said today, he takes full responsibility. Whether he was there or not, he has apologised and he takes full responsibility. How he feels about the events, I don't know, because I haven't spoken specifically to him about those.
I'm wondering how you feel. Do you think he was let down? Do you feel he was let down, Nadine?
So my feelings are irrelevant.
They're not really.
I think
You're
the
elected
Prime Minister's done the right thing in apologising. I am, but I think, I'm not privy to the investigations. I think the fact that the Prime Minister's come out, he's genuinely shown how sorry he is. He's humbly apologised. We know that the Met has conducted a full and thorough investigation. We've had the Sue Gray report today. I think what the Prime Minister is focused on is not feeling let down, but in wanting to get on with the job and taking on some of the very important challenges that we face as a government at the moment, and do what is right for the British people in those circumstances. So I don't think he's spending too much time on this. I think now he wants to focus and get on with governing, which is what we were elected to do.
All right. Well, he did also tell the House of Commons he thinks that's also the overwhelming view of the majority of the British people, that it's now time to move on, people are bored of this, and they want you to get on with governing. There's quite a big possibility, Nadine, I think you and I probably admit this, that some of the media, some papers, some television stations won't do that. They'll keep on talking about Partygate. Do you blame them for doing that?
Well, there is another side to this, and there are, people who are determined by whatever means possible to try and remove the Prime Minister from his position for a number of reasons, not least the fact that he delivered on Brexit. But, it isn't just Brexit. He delivered on, we were the first country to get the vaccine out. We've lifted all our COVID regulations.
Just to clarify, Ms. Dorries, sorry, just to clarify on that.
So many achievements.
Yeah, I just want to clarify that point, though. Do you think some people, some of his critics, are using Partygate to avenge what he did on Brexit for delivering Brexit?
Look, I don't know what the motives for people who are continuing on this are. I'm not party to those. But what I do know is that we have a war in Ukraine. We have a cost of living crisis directly because of that war in Ukraine and due to the post-pandemic economic tremors that we're experiencing at the moment. What I do know is that the Prime Minister has humbly apologised, genuinely, sincerely apologised, but now is the time for everyone to move on and to allow us to deal with the huge challenges that we are facing and that we need to deal with now.
OK, finally, Nadine, to your Tory MP colleagues, some of them plotting right now, probably in the corridors behind you, to pull together 54 letters to force a no-confidence vote in the Prime Minister. You know they're up to it. What's your message to them?
So, again, the perception is that it requires 54 letters. It doesn't. It requires over half of the Conservative Party to remove the Prime Minister, which is 160, 70 MPs. What I would say is let the Prime Minister get on with what he was elected to do. There is a war in Ukraine. At this very point in time, Putin's barbaric regime is attacking and bombing Ukraine. Let us get on with doing the things that need to be done. We've got a cost of living crisis on a number of levels due to the fact that we can't get wheat out of Ukraine, due to the energy crisis. There are some really serious, important problems that we need to address right now. And what the nation doesn't need is a navel-gazing party and a leadership crisis in the middle of some of the most important and difficult challenges we've ever faced as a nation. We need to get on and govern, and we need to get on and continue to deliver on the promises that we've made to the British people, and also continue the record of delivery that this Prime Minister has. You won't want me to list them again, but it is a record, a continued record of the Prime Minister making the right calls and the right decisions at the right time.
OK.
I won't.
OK, finally, if there was a confidence vote, there might be, there might not be. You and I don't really know. Would the Prime Minister win it?
Absolutely. I don't think there's any doubt about that at all.
Nadine Dorries, Culture Secretary, thanks for joining me.